Breaking up is never easy, but saying goodbye to your old clunky work tools? Well, that's easy. Just repeat after me. It's not me, it's definitely you, you rigid, unfriendly software. It's time to freshen things up with Monday.com, the first work platform you'll love to use. With stunning dashboards, customizable templates, and built-in AI that actually works, switching to a new work platform has never felt this good. So move on to Monday.com.
Welcome to the RuPaul's Drag Race Recap Show for All Stars 10, Episode 8, titled Stage Cooch. My name's Joe Batanz, and I am joined, as always, by one honky-tonk co-host from the podcast. Pod is my po-pilot. Please say...
Grab my saggy milk dud.
To Mr. Taylor, the Latte Boy. Hello, Taylor.
Hello, Joseph. How are you?
I'm doing very well. How you been?
I'm doing all right. Now that my dog's peed.
Oh, yeah. This is the thing. It used to happen in stand-up comedy. I've talked about this a million times. Where, you know, when you did stand-up comedy shows, inevitably the green room in most stand-up comedy shows is just the bar. So you're hanging around with the other comics in the bar, and then the host goes up on the stage to bring you up, and then he brings you up and you guys shake hands if you guys have not just been talking 20 feet ago, you know?
Right.
And that's kind of just what happened here, because Taylor and I do a little pre-show called Just Between Us Girls.
That's taped?
Oh, yeah. You're going to be really embarrassed. Yeah, because Taylor and I talked about diabetes. And what else did we talk about?
Bad movies?
Oh, bad movies. A lot of afterthought show business tea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that came up. I don't know. We talked about a lot of stuff. It was actually, I thought the show was going to be a short show, and it was actually kind of longer show.
The Bachelorette?
The Bachelorette we talked about, and how my prediction is happening today. My prediction is Jay and Robert just aren't going to eat. Especially since we're going to a place that has a lot of carbs.
I was going to say, if it's unlimited salad, you know that they'll be set.
Buca de Beppo has unlimited salad?
No, I don't know. I've only been to Buca de Beppo once, and it ended really badly. So
wait, why?
We had horrible service, and when we tipped the guy, we didn't necessarily give him a really good tip, and he muttered something as I was getting up. He muttered something under his breath, and we were with a lesbian couple that was boisterous, and then they started yelling at him from across it was a whole thing. We ended up getting our whole meal comped, but
well, it's going to be very interesting because Jay used to be a server, and very much you've seen memes about this and all this shit. But like, you know, the kind of people who used to be servers, so they're like super aggro on former being a server, like that's going to be Jay 100%. I've been to, he like, it gets like really insane.
Like things like Jay gets upset if they don't serve from the left or whatever it is they're supposed to serve.
No, not at them, at us.
Oh, because of the way that you well,
guys, no, you don't do this. I'll have to send it to you. There was a TikTok that perfectly, I told Jay, this is you. And he was like 100%. This guy on TikTok was 100% Jay at a restaurant where he's like, I know how a restaurant works. That's why I'm glad we're doing it at Buca de Beppo, because it's family style. So in other words, I'll let Jay take the lead actually, because he's going to be so anxious about it. And he can order we'll decide beforehand and he'll just do the ordering.
Yeah.
You know? But
now girls pay attention. This is how you order a meal at Buca de Beppo.
Kind of, yeah. He'll be like, I used to be a server, but we're going to have
servers love that when they're told that. I used to be a server. I understand.
And do you really enjoy it, or being sarcastic?
Oh, I'm being sarcastic. I've seen.
Okay.
I've never been a server because I know myself well enough that I would not have done well in that. And I like to think that I always please and thank you when I talk to servers, unless you are particularly egregious, in which case then I may say something, but 9 times out of 10, I won't even say anything to you. I'll just go right to a manager and just say, this was my experience. You know, Cassidy might not need as many tables in her area.
Where are you going that you're constantly getting bad service? I don't.
We're
usually
not.
get
That's
bad-
what I'm saying. I'm not getting bad service. So when you do, it stands out.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
But when I have had bad service, that's what I've done.
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll see what happens. I mean, it will be discussed. But that's why I don't want to have a negative experience with this Jay Ellis or anybody, right? So I want it to be, Jay, here's what we're going to order. You take the lead.
Yeah.
Just take the lead. You order it. You know what servers like and all this, and it'll be fine. By the way, he's going to eat no food.
He's going to order for all of you guys. And, like the harried mother who's prepared meals and then just doesn't get to eat because she's got to make sure all the kids have.
And he's going to be sitting on the side with his side salad with the dressing on the side.
Right. Right.
He never actually even
Dipping one lettuce in just gingerly into the little cup.
And then going home and running for an hour because he feels guilty.
Right.
That he looked at a breadstick.
But you know what? Look at him and look at the two of us, and maybe he's
I'm
onto
happy.
something. Yeah,
I'm
that's
happy.
true.
Why'd you just get a thumbs up in the screen? Did you see that?
I think sometimes it'll, like, if you do that, the heart.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But you're on your Mac. You're on the actual camera on the Mac, right?
Yes. Well, what
Because I
other
think because
camera would I
I'm
be on?
Well, no, because I don't use the Mac. Nothing happens on my end. You see, because I'm using, even though on a Mac, I'm using. Why did my thumb look like that? I was pointing at I'm using the Logi camera thing. No one cares about this. Anyway, just between us girls, I'll make it simple. All right. Oh, Patreon app. Okay. You can get it. Go to Patreon app, find Afterthought Media, subscribe as a free member. Tons of hours of free content. In fact, if you were a free member right now, you'd be watching this live. Free members get access to the live recordings of the show.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so there you
For
go.
which we apologize.
Yeah, for which we apologize. Free members get access to the show, and then premium members get the show. Here's what premium members get: they get the show uncut, commercial free, as soon as it drops for everybody else. Plus, if they couldn't make the live of this video, this show drops on Sundays at noon. The video drops on Sundays at noon, and you can watch it anytime. You don't need to watch. If you watch it Sundays at noon on the drop, you can talk with everybody, all your little friends on Patreon, as if it were live. But if you don't want to do that, you can just watch it at your leisure.
Mm-hmm.
Just Between Us Girls is at executive tier and above. Anyway, that's enough plug. Here's what we're going to do. Why don't we jump into it? This week, the girls get into quick drag and give their best clueless tribute photo shoot. For this week's Maxi Challenge, the girls working in teams perform a song in the fictional Stage Cooch Country Music Festival. On the runway, the category was Night of 1,000 Mileys. On the main stage, Ginger Minj and Denali were named the top 2 All-Stars of the week, forcing them to face off in a lip-sync battle for the point. In the end, Ginger Minj won the lip-sync and the extra point, putting her well in the lead. Doesn't sound right. Of the other queens, Taylor the Latte Boy were the right 2 queens in the top, and did the right queen win the lip sync?
I think that Ginger was the right selection. I'm not sure about Denali. I feel like could be an argument for multiple other queens there. Particularly, I think maybe like Cynthia might have been Cynthia, or even Acid Betty. I think either one of them could have been the alternate. Ginger, definitely. Ginger, everything they said in the judges panel, I agreed with wholeheartedly. As far as who won the lip sync, Ginger won 100%, because it looked multiple times like Denali didn't know the words. She was trying to stay moving so that they couldn't focus on her mouth. And then at one point she sort of turned around and, bent over and, smacked her cooch for an extended period of time, I think, so that she didn't have to stand there and see the words. She definitely knew the chorus, but I don't think she knew the rest of the words.
So you and I disagree a little bit here. In terms of the top 2 queens, I don't agree Ginger should have been there. Believe it or not. But yet I feel Denali very clearly should have been there. I think Denali did a fantastic job. Her lyrics were the best. She also rhythmically in the cadence of her verse was different. The other girls had a very like you know?
Yeah.
Whereas hers actually had a different sort of, it was sort of syncopated and had some good lyrics. And so like I thought for sure she should have been in the top 2 with some moves, and I think everything was great. Her spot was earned. Ginger Minj was the one that I thought was, not that she was bad, but was interchangeable. You could have had an Acid Betty. You could have had the only one that was really genuinely bad was Alyssa Hunter.
Oh, yeah.
Oh God, right? But the other ones, you could have easily put them in a Diabetes. You could have put, I don't know if I would have agreed with Cynthia, but yeah, sure, a Cynthia or any except for Alyssa. You could have put any of them in there and it would have been fine.
Yeah.
And I did not think Ginger's was particularly special. And in fact, when we'll talk about it when we get to the Maxi challenge, and it's also part of my big takeaway from the episode. But we'll get to it then. But
Okay.
Ginger, she was fine. Didn't think she was anything special. The lip sync, gosh, I could go. That is a tough one. Because Denali brought the Miley spirit to the thing, but at times it often felt like she was doing too much.
Yes.
Where I think that what your point was, she was doing all these flips, tricks, and stunts to obfuscate the fact that she didn't know the lyrics.
Right.
Maybe, but it was just too much. But it did capture the Miley Cyrus energy more than this Ginger Minj, who always feels like she's doing a production of MAME at the Burt Reynolds Theater. You know?
Yeah.
So, did you ever go to the Burt Reynolds Theater, or was that closed by the time you got there?
No, I've never been to the Burt Reynolds Theater.
And like it, like again, I don't, maybe because I mentioned it or whatever, but I mentioned on a previous episode that Ginger Minj performing Defying Gravity was giving the same energy as when she did I Am What I Am. I said it was a tribute to Jerry Herman. It was to Harvey Firestein, because it just came up on my YouTube and I watched it and I was like, I wasn't not wrong. It is shocking. And by the way, it's from 8 years ago. It's shocking how 8 years ago she was still making the same acting choices. And the acting choices and lip sync choices today and on this Miley Cyrus song were not much different than the ones she was making on Defying Gravity.
No, they really weren't. It was kind of the same. Yeah.
It was kind of, except now she was doing a whole like, can you believe this bitch? Multiple times.
Right.
With her face. And
I didn't say it was a great lip sync. I just think between the two of them, she knew the words.
And we're going to get to this. I'm not saying that Ginger Minj is even a bad lip syncer. I think I will give Ginger Minj a compliment. I think she knows herself very well. And so when she's putting together her own act and she chooses the songs and she knows her lane and she's very sure of her persona, she chooses very good songs for herself. And she's probably a fantastic lip syncer. She's having to basically force a square peg into a round hole. And, but she's just doing it the same way that she would always do it. She's not trying to do anything different, which might be a smart move. But ultimately what that leads to is, we're going to talk about this, but just highlighting the strings of production and tainting what could have been a fantastic season. Let's see what happens in the semifinals. But on that note, why don't we take a break? When we come back, we are going to talk about our big takeaways. We'll be back right after this.
Breaking up is never easy, but saying goodbye to your old clunky work tools? Well, that's easy. Just repeat after me. It's not me, it's definitely you. You rigid, unfriendly software. It's time to freshen things up with Monday.com, the first work platform you'll love to use. With stunning dashboards, customizable templates, and built-in AI that actually works, switching to a new work platform has never felt this good. So move on to Monday.com.
Long gone are the days of waiting to be seen in a doctor's office only to have that awkward conversation with your healthcare provider. Wisp gives you access to sexual and reproductive healthcare from the comfort of your home. Get treatment for BV, yeast infections, UTIs, and much more delivered directly to your home or ready for pickup at your local pharmacy in less than 3 hours. The best part? Wisp is discreet, convenient, and you don't need medical insurance to receive care or prescription medication. Visit us today at hellowisp.com.
USAA knows dynamic duos can save the day, like superheroes and sidekicks, or auto and home insurance. With USAA, you can bundle your auto and home and save up to 10%. Visit USAA.com/bundle.
Bundle savings are off total premium, not available in all states or in all situations. To qualify, auto policy must be active prior to property policy issue, subject to change. Restrictions apply. Membership eligibility and product restrictions apply and are subject to change. USAA means United Services Automobile Association and its affiliates, San Antonio, Texas.
And we are back. Now, Taylor, this is the part of the show where we talk about our big takeaways. What was your big takeaway from this episode?
I'm afraid I'm going to steal yours.
You better not.
It feels very, I don't know how to describe this. They're telegraphing the future. I feel like with this, that we all pretty much from the time they announced the cast said, oh, well, Ginger will go to the semifinals. Definitely.
Yeah.
And they're not even trying to hide that. It feels very apparent that's what's going on with this. And that's sort of what we were all talking about that last night when we were watching it, was just the whole, like, this is her fourth time. What is it going to look like if basically she doesn't win at this point after trying 4 times, and somebody brought up Jujubee and how Jujubee now, it's kind of become a joke that anytime they announce anything, they announce that like somebody posts a meme that Jujubee is going to be on the next season of fill in the blank. So I think that by giving her 6, we were all talking, there really isn't any way that she can't not go to the semifinals at this point. Unless everybody ganged up and gave all of their points to like one other person. But even then, she would still probably come in second or third.
Yeah. The thing is with the, they were justified, but maybe, it benefits the producers here, is by Denali winning, it takes out one of the MVQ points from the mix. And so even in a best case scenario, the person that they throw behind will get is 2 points. The most, if you think about it, because you have Daya, Acid, Cynthia, and Alyssa, right? Let's say, and we never saw the other girls agree to this thing that Acid, we just see Acid Betty say it. We don't know that they agreed. Right? But let's say that they do. Let's say they're going to give it to Denali. Not Denali. Oh, that would be kind of smart if they give it to Denali. But if they give it to Denali, then she would get 3. She'd be at 6. She would tie Ginger Minge.
Right.
That would be really smart. But if they don't, let's say they give it to Acid. Acid would get 2 points because she can't give it to herself.
Right.
Yeah, very interesting. We'll see what happens next week. But it's there's no way for anyone to sort of catch up to Ginger at this point.
Right.
Any more else in your big takeaway?
As far as that goes, no, that's really that's it. I mean, this episode to me was just sort of mid. So driving home last night, I was just thinking, like, what am I going to talk about tomorrow on the show?
Yeah.
And that really was, the Ginger thing was really kind of, that's what Babalu and I talked about in the car on the ride home. So.
And look, and the recap is the recap. It's dumb to force things. We will recap the show. But if there's nothing to say about it, there's nothing to say about it. And that's what's good about having, not that I'm some mad genius. It came up organically that we do this, But the good thing about it is, even in the most mid AI, it felt like an AI wrote this episode, is at least you have this, you know?
Yeah.
Or we can talk about this and then you just kind of buzz for the rest of the episode. What I will say is, so mine's is a little different from yours. Not much, but it's just more slight detour. Before I say anything, and I think this is part of it, Ginger Minj is a great drag queen. Fantastic drag queen. Definitely worthy of an All-Stars title.
I would agree.
And if we, I often make comparisons of Drag Race to baseball, like me saying I call balls and strikes and whatever. But in the same vein, they should have an all-star ceremony. For an all-stars in baseball, you just have to have a certain level of recognition, and then the sports writers vote you in, after you've been out of it for 5 years. And it should probably be something similar, because people like Jujubee and Ginger, they are all-stars. They truly, truly are. And Ginger is a great drag queen, worthy of the all-stars title.
Right.
And so what I sort of feel like what this show is doing by handicapping the show for her like this is they're actually doing a disservice to her legacy. A good example would be Alyssa Edwards, the way they just fucking dragged her to the finish line on Global All-Stars, where, yeah, she won a crown and now she has a title, but it just feels cheap. Like it would almost be less cheap if they just had an all-star ceremony at the finale. Every year they just gave an all-stars title to somebody. That people would be like, yeah, we're behind that. Yes, 100%. Give one to Roxy Andrews. Give one to Jujubee. Give one to Ginger. Give one to Alyssa. They are queens. They are champions, even though they didn't win a competition. But to sort of just drag them to the finish line is unfair to Ginger. But forget unfair to the viewers, unfair to Ginger. The way the challenges in this bracket are handpicked for Ginger. Handpicked for Ginger. The sewing challenge. Okay, not a sewing challenge at first, but the way like Ginger Minj winning a sewing challenge. And I don't know if you saw the Roscoe's video. It's Acid Betty and Dia Betty, and Acid Betty spills the tea right there on Roscoe's stage that Dia Betty sewed Ginger's entire outfit. Ginger had no part. Yeah. And Dia Betty's not really denying it, but it's like, well, I mean, I did have her have the scissors. She cut out the pattern, and I showed her what it was. But Acid's like, no, Dia Betty sewed both those outfits. And then, Dia's like, yeah, but she wrote the whole story, which is an important part of it, because they knew we need to drag Ginger to the finish line. So the way we'll do it is we'll have this. Why would you have a story? As a story be a big component? Were you the one telling me, or somebody was saying that in another interview that the contestants were saying that the what we saw on the screen was different from their perception, in that during the filming, the producers made it seem that it was really all about the story and not about the outfit.
No, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. So some of the queens were saying that when they were filming it, the producers really focused on the story to them. We're really emphasizing it's all about the story. And that's kind of how they got the hint that it's really in the bag for Ginger initially. Because they were like, oh, it's weird that it's all story and not outfit.
Yeah.
And that, and then Dia sewed it for her. And then she went on there. I don't even think their story was the best. And I know that Robert thought Cynthia and Alyssa were the best. I can't go into that. That's a whole Alaska Thoughts thing. But
what?
Yeah. But I do feel like I'm in good company, because I've read on Reddit that Race Chaser agreed with me. I don't remember where you fell. Sibling Watchery agreed with me, and that like Alyssa and Denali were clearly the best. And especially if you're looking at story wise, right?
Acid Betty and Denali.
Sorry, who did I say?
You said Alyssa and Denali.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
oh,
Alyssa, that was what I said too. I liked them the best than the other ones. Yeah.
And then so the podcasts seem to be in agreement on that. And so and again, it's not Ginger's fault. It is not. Well, I mean, I don't know how much Ginger was like, look, I'm only coming back for a fourth time if you can guarantee I go to the semifinals. But they didn't have to be so heavy-handed about it. Ginger could have lost the first week, And because then now the second week is a country music girl group challenge,
Right.
which Ginger didn't even win. And then next week it's an acting challenge.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, even just looking at the surface, you're like, this is, and look at who, and the people they have on it are Betty, Acid Betty, Alyssa Hunter, Denali. None of these are known for being Denali has the singing thing, but like actors, and it was just really, really strange. And so what I'm saying is, it's just, what are they doing is my thing. They're hurting Ginger and they're hurting their own brand. And somebody said on a TikTok I saw, and this is so true, and it's again, I want to bring this up again because we have constantly new listeners coming in. I should make a TikTok about this and do my conspiracy on TikTok for once and for all. I was at the taping of the season 7 finale. Okay. And by the way, you can go back and listen. It's on. That's our first season of season 7, and I talk about this on the show. But when I went to the finale, I was like, oh, remember I was like, oh, they're playing 4D chess.
Yeah.
They are playing 4D chess because they know people are going to go on Reddit and talk here, because everyone knows this by now, but they filmed multiple endings for the finale.
Right.
And when they did Ginger, they're like, oh, Ginger's the winner. Yay. And then they did in Pearl, Ginger's the winner. Yay. But when they did Violet, but when they did Violet, it was a whole different production.
Right. Confetti and stuff, right?
Confetti and like, and if everybody say love, and if but like the whole like ending that you saw, and I'm like, oh, they're playing 4D chess.
I remember that. Yeah.
And they did all this stuff. And what I'm trying to say here's my conspiracy. At the time, I thought, oh, it was obvious they were going to do Violet. But I don't think so. Because I have been to the multiple recordings of this. And the reason I'm bringing this up, there was on the season 11 one, they were sending us home like, okay, guys, thanks for coming. And then the director of the loudspeaker was like, no one go. We have to retape Evie's thing because she said she wanted to eat a baby.
Right.
And so that's when she said something else. And so we had to retape the entire ending again. Right. And I'm saying it was 1 a.m. at that point. They hadn't gotten taping the finale down. It was 1 a.m. Everybody was tired. And I think they were like, oh my God, the only good crowning we got was with Violet.
Yeah.
We don't have the official one for Ginger and Pearl. We don't have it.
Yeah.
And so we're going to have to go with Violet. I think it was a production mistake. And this is my true conspiracy theory. I do really think Ginger was supposed to win. It was pointing that way.
Yeah.
And I think they like, fuck, we recorded the wrong thing. That's a true conspiracy theory. Because, and so TikTok said, you had your chance at crowning Ginger when she actually did really well on season 7. And since then you've missed it. And it feels cheap to do it now. And it's sad because everybody has been loving this format. Loving it. It reinvigorated All Stars.
I agree.
And now here we are, bracket 3, and we're like, oh, well, because it seemed like a real competition again. Now let's see what happens in the semifinals. We don't know. Maybe they just promised Ginger will get you to the semifinals. Because I could think about this cast, right? They're having to cast this thing. I could see them in a world, and I know they had trouble casting it. That's why they went to this format. They're like, wow, we have like no star power on this. We need a Ginger Minge.
Yeah.
So we'll just promise her the world. I don't know. But I think ultimately it hurts. Let's see how the semifinals could save it again. And
well, because then you're taking the best of all 3 groups. I mean, back when we first started doing this season, I said I was team Bosco. And while I thought Bosco was one of the best of that bracket, I don't know that I necessarily feel that way anymore now that I've seen other contestants,
Well, I think what you can do in the brackets is bracket 1 was clearly some very strong queens. It's Bosco,
Aja and Irene.
Aja and Irene. Irene and Bosco are crushing it.
Yes.
Bracket 2, and that's just pure talent.
Mhm.
Bracket 2 is manipulation,
Right.
which is another aspect of the game, right? And then this one is riggery. So it's like, so it's the riggery one, you know, because Ginger's going to go through with Diabetti and with but you know, you could see some interesting things here because
Yeah.
Diabetti's hitching her wagon to Ginger because she's clearly in the lead. But when you go to the next one, I could totally see a world where Diabetti abandons Ginger and teams up with Bosco and Irene. They seem much more in the same wheelhouse.
Yeah. Yeah.
Denali, I don't know who she does, right?
Well, you use who you got to get ahead, and then if you need to reinvent, you reinvent. So who do you think is going to be the third to go with?
I think it's I look. Let's look at who's left. They haven't really won anything. I think it's just going to be Ginger, Denali, and Diabetti.
So you think Diabetti?
I think Diabetti.
We were talking last night about this, and we're wondering if it won't be Acid Betty. Because imagine a world where Acid Betty and Mistress Isabel Brooks are in the same room.
Yes, I agree, but I mean, it's going to take. Let's see how Acid Betty. I mean, it could happen. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying as of today.
But they're also showing this storyline of where it seems like Acid is campaigning for points.
If you were talking about TV, take Ginger out of the mix because she's, you know, that's another thing that's kind of sad is Ginger Minge was kind of a bitch on her season, and she's been defanged and neutered over the years in terms of working with World of Wonder. Now they're her friends. So, but take her out of the mix, right? She's no longer good TV. But if you want a good TV standpoint, yeah, you're having Daya and Acid Betty's. You know, the Betty's, Daya, and Acid. I just don't. I'm trying to see a world point wise how they can make it happen. Maybe they can with this plot. It could be a thing that if Acid Betty wins, is one of the top two in the next challenge, and then the other girls throw their points to her, it could launch her into the semifinals.
So have you seen the stuff online? You know, now that we're saying this, I'm going to say the opposite about how Denali's hair changes, the length of it changes throughout the episode. Do you think that sort of gives away that Denali will be going to semifinals at this point?
So what Taylor's talking about is after they finished the 3 brackets, they took months and months and months and months off from filming. The semifinals was filmed around the time that they did the finale and the Lollapalooza for season 17. So it's been like, by this point, 6 months since the brackets were filmed. That's when they did the semifinals episode. That's what Taylor's talking about. So the conspiracy is, we know that Denali's in the semifinals because her hair is so much more luxurious and luscious and fuller, giving her that hair that time. By the way, just I want to say it right here on the record. People have been dying to know about this. Denali, for me, on paper, is the most beautiful human being I've ever seen in the time of my life. Hold. Very my type. I mean, just a fucking gorgeous specimen of a man.
Right.
But I hate that fucking hair. I hate it. If she just had a normal short guy haircut, I don't know what I would do with myself. Right? But that hair, I'm like, what is this hair? And I hate that stupid top she's wearing in the confessionals.
Yeah.
But in terms of everything else, though, just stunning. Anyway, yeah, perhaps. That's why I'm thinking it's Ginger Denali and we're also not taking into consideration that wild card spot. You know?
Yeah, I don't know that there's really anybody that could come back and take the whole thing from the people that are left behind.
And also, they're not in the semifinals. They're just in the Lollapalooza.
Oh, I thought that they were making it to where there were going to be 10 in the semifinals.
No, it's 10 in the lip sync SmackDown.
Oh,
so also the rumor isn't 10 in lip sync SmackDown. The rumor is, I don't know. This is something I just saw through. So who knows? It's not even in the spoiler channel. That they're going to lose a queen every week in the semifinals.
Okay.
I could be wrong. It could be 10 going into the semifinals.
But there's only like 3 or 4 episodes after. Didn't we
Really
we
just
look-
2? I don't know. We're going to find out in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
The point is to say is Ginger's an all-star. I just don't think this was the way to do it. The end. And they did her a disservice.
Okay.
All right, Taylor. Well, on that note, the public feed, we're going to say goodbye to you while you untuck in the Taylor the Latte Boy Lounge. Taylor and I will discuss the rest of the episode. All right, let's go to this Maxi Challenge presentation where the girls sang their song. First up were the Mud Flaps. That's what Cynthia, Daya, and Ginger call themselves. And their song was Key Your Car. Any big thoughts here?
I thought they were all pretty good. I thought between the two, I thought they were the better performers of the two.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Going down the line, Cynthia was fine. I mean, I'm not a big Cuckoo fan, so like I'm like, whatever, it's fine. Daya, same thing, it was fine. Now Ginger, and this is where you can see the riggery. She says she puts the cunt in country. Girl, that joke is old as fucking dirt.
Yeah.
And they're guffawing on the judges panel when she says it. I'm like, are they fooling anybody? Who are they? Do you think there's anybody who falls for this?
Oh, I do. I think there are. I think you and I watch this though on a level that most people that are in a bar and it's on in the background aren't really paying attention to.
True. Also, I want to talk about this song. They keep saying Mother Tucker instead of motherfucker, which are okay, whatever. But then they have no problem calling someone a bitch in the next song, and they want to suck the chrome off of a trailer hitch.
Right. And flipping the bird on camera. And
yeah. So let's go to the next song here.
Plus,
Whiskey
why
Chicks.
wouldn't you say for a song, and especially if your band's, and I know the songs were recorded before, why wouldn't it be Mother Trucker? I mean, it's country songs, and their band's name was the Mud Flaps.
Because they Tuckahoe. They're just thinking they're still, just between
You can get
girls.
this song on iTunes for 69 cents. All of those old chestnuts.
On this, just between us girls, we talked about how someone accused me of doing jokes from 2012. They're doing jokes from 2009.
Right
here on this show. You know what? I didn't write it down. The when RuPaul comes out in the main stage and introduces everybody, they were doing the same fucking joke. I'm a whore. I'm kind of part whore. Part whore? Oh, the hilarious Ross Matthews. You like country music? I'm a big fan of Willie. Willie Nelson? Who? Girl, it's like the same fucking joke every week.
Yep.
Taylor actually wrote about this in his book, Give Me Something New by Taylor Latte Boy DDS. And you can read about it right there. What about the Whiskey Chicks trailer hitch?
I didn't understand Denali's outfit. That was not a country outfit. That was where, 3 Muppets died to make that outfit.
Yeah, it had nothing to do with the other ones. Yeah.
Right. Because especially when she's standing next to Acid Betty, who looks like country drag personified in that outfit. We were all talking about that as far as why is she wearing that? It doesn't make any sense. Otherwise, I have nothing to say about their song. It was okay.
Line. Acid, I don't know. She was like, when she was recording with Orville Peck, she was like, this is based on the Large Marge from Pee-wee's Big Adventure. I'm like, okay. The fact that Large Marge rhymed, that's the only thing that had something to do with Large Marge and nothing to do with the character. Alyssa, I couldn't understand a fucking word she was saying. It was terrible.
Mm-hmm.
And then Denali, actually, I think was really good. And I thought that was worthy of a win. Those are my thoughts there on Whiskey Chicks trailer hits. All in all, a very weak girl group recording. Very lazy. Nothing put into this. All right, Taylor. So on that, now that you're done with that, and we've finished the bulk of the episode, why don't we bring back my girls? All right, later on the main stage, Ginger Minj and Denali were named the top 2 All-Stars of the week, forcing them to face off in a lip-sync battle for the win. The song, See You Again by Miley Cyrus. In the end, Ginger Minj was named the winner of the lip-sync, giving her the extra point and a very strong advantage over the other contestants. Taylor the Latte Boy, any final thoughts on the episode?
This season has seemed to go by really fast. I think because of the short little three episode arcs that we've seen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm surprised. I mean, it's going to be less than a month and it's going to be over. So in that regards, we talked a little bit about how much we have enjoyed and that people seem to be enjoying this format compared to the standard All-Stars formats. And I'm glad that they were able to reinvigorate it in a way that was enjoyable for all of us.
All right,
that's all I got.
That's
about
all
you?
Taylor has. No, I actually looked at my notes. Usually I have on this random notes part, the random notes, but I actually said them in the course of the episode. So the only thing I have here that I missed, and I was like, man, it's not a big deal, is that when Alyssa got her way and got to do the stupid song, the trailer hit, she was like strutting around like Mick Jagger on stage as if she accomplished something. It was just like, no, people just pitied you because you wanted it so badly.
Yeah.
And
you pouted.
You pouted, and everyone's like, all right, well, we'll just give it to her. We don't give a shit. But other than that, I've said everything I have to say about this show. It's all.
Okay.
Oh, wait, no, I did have some. I just crossed it out. Oh, and the lip sync. There was a confessional where Denali was like, I have to do this because I was in one of the most iconic lip syncs of all time. And I was like, what? Which one?
100% Pure Love.
That's an iconic lip sync?
I mean, it's a lip sync that I've watched over again.
Okay.
Since then. But I mean, I think it was more because it was such a murder. Because, what's her name? Kimora Hall was like she was trapped in that dress that weighed 200 pounds or whatever. So she couldn't move while Denali was flipping around and death dropping and all that kind of thing.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this week's episode of Drag Race Recap. Be sure to join us next weekend every week as we continue to discuss, dissect, and deconstruct each brand new episode of RuPaul's Drag Race All-Star Season 10. So, for Taylor the Latte Boy and myself,
sashay away until next week.
Thank you for listening to Drag Race Recap. Have something to say? Leave us a voicemail at speakpipe.com/afterthoughtmedia. You can also email us at dragracerecap@afterthought.media. For more Drag Race and LGBTQ+ content, support us over at patreon.com/afterthoughtmedia. Special thanks to these expensive tier Patreon supporters: April Pacheco, Astute Girl, Brad Coley, Coco San Pedro, Derek Byers, Doofus Maximus, E. Smith, Efren Barbosa, Phil Skit Pony, Flying Suki, Humble Pie, J. Thomas Plink, Kathy Zender, Katie Whitmire, Lauren Eckert, Lucy Carrasco, Mary S., Mike Yeager, Nikki Baker, Nikki Pettit, Polly Anne-Marie, Poppy Woods, Ricardo Herrera, Runner Brandon, Sarah Yu, Tom Bobbs, Travi Cosmos, and Troy Anderson. Drag Race Recap is an Afterthought Media podcast.
This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace. You know when you're really stressed or not feeling so great about your life or about yourself? Talking to someone who understands can really help. But who is that person? How do you find them? Where do you even start? Talkspace. Talkspace makes it easy to get the support you need. With Talkspace, you can go online, answer a few questions about your preferences, and be matched with a therapist. And because you'll meet your therapist online, you don't have to take time off work or arrange childcare. You'll meet on your schedule, wherever you feel most at ease. If you're depressed, stressed, struggling with a relationship, or if you want some counseling for you and your partner, or just need a little extra one-on-one support, Talkspace is here for you. Plus, Talkspace works with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. No insurance? No problem. Now get $80 off of your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com. Save $80 with code SPACE80 at Talkspace.com.